Welcome to the Hive Live. Welcome back if you've been here before. Hopefully you kind of know what to expect if you have. If not, we are every week we do a live session. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can go to the reagenthive.com and register to get on the live calls. The benefit of being on the live calls is that we're not going to include the Q&A discussion at the end of the presentation because want people to feel comfortable to ask questions in a nice, safe, private space, semi-private space. So if you want to be involved in the Q&A, definitely log in or register to be on the live call, the reagenthive.com. And so that being said, we do this every week. Try to bring value each week. This week, we've got some great value. Because I know that we all kind of struggle with our messaging most of us struggle with our messaging. And is our marketing actually working? The content that we're putting out there, are we actually speaking to our target audience, or are we just kind of shotgunning and hoping that our ideal clients are listening and will then be compelled to give us a call? So today we got Keith Gilmore. He's the founder of Trusted Voice Marketing. He's been in digital marketing since 2008, I believe. So long time, very long time. You've worked for a couple different marketing firms, I know. And today you're going to bring us really like what to say, what our messaging should be to the people that we want to hear the message. So without further ado, I'm going to bring you on Keith Gilmore. Thanks so much. You can share your slides, right? So whenever you're ready, man, the floor is yours.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Cool. Okay, we're going to dive into something that just to give you a little bit of context, I shared this with TJ, like 2-3 weeks ago? Just a little snippet. It was over the phone. There was nothing visual. So I didn't walk him through. And so he's going to see this for the very first time as well. But I could see that it caught his attention. And this, usually when I describe this 2-content strategy, which I'm going to keep a little mysterious until, later on, but it's on purpose. So we'll dive in here and let's see here. Okay. Go here. Whoops. We'd be starting the wrong slide if I showed you that one. Okay, cool. All right. So we are going to be talking about this simple two-step content strategy that's proven to earn trust and drive action faster. Now, I know the claim may sound a little hypey, but one part of this content, these 2 pieces, right, is only on your website. Suspecting you have a website, if you don't get one, but let's presume that you do. Okay. So, Blaze, you may not already have one. It's fine. But I'm gonna show you that the first piece of content exists on your website, but then as well on all the other piece will exist on your website, but as well as all kinds of other platforms and all other kinds of communication. But our main focus is how it fits within the context of your website for the most part. But then you're going to go, oh my gosh, we could use this so many other places. Great. Okay. All right. Now, I will say this is not a brand new tactic. It is not. It is not based on theory. In fact, pretty much every single time I share this with a business owner, it becomes very clear to them why it makes sense and why they should put it in place. The unfortunate thing is, like many of them, like many great things, only a tiny percentage of them actually take the time to put it into place, to do something about it. Which means if you do, or when you do, those who do take action, you can take advantage of this huge gap. Okay. Now, just to kind of frame things up here, what's the typical thing that happens in your world? Like, we're just gonna walk this through because, and I'm sure Blaze, you already got an idea too about what this is, but I'd love to hear some input from you guys on how this. I'm just gonna like explain how some of this stuff goes, and then you're like, I want to hear some feedback on this. Okay, so first off, real estate, as we know, as one of the most highly relational industries, right? And actually, according to the NAR, 63% of real estate business comes from referrals in your sphere of influence. And 90% of those referrals will actually Google you before they ever call you, right? So even when your best friend refers you, that prospect is still going to vet you online. I mean, that we all do that, right? You've got to talk to TJ. Yeah, he's the best, right? And then that prospect will go, cool, thanks. All right, I think I will, right? And then they research you. They Google TJ. They want to find out a little more about him. And then sometimes what ends up happening is they end up finding, they might find TJ, maybe not on his site. They might find it on a corporate site, or they might find him on Zillow. They might find him on other places. And you're like, shoot, right? So trust might go up as they look into TJ, but they still have some caution, right? Does that sound about right? This is
Yes.
the audience participation part.
Yes. Sounds right.
Okay, cool. Now, if there's more to that, feel free to give me some feedback, and that's totally fine. But the other part of this is that even when they might say book a call, they might call you, they might reach out, they might fill out a form or whatever. They either don't actually show up, which is very frustrating, or they show up and they're cautious and skeptical, right? So if that is true, let me know. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
It is true.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now, I will say, I as much as I'm excited about showing you this content strategy, before I dive into this, I always find it helpful to frame things up, because for a lot of people, this helps for them to see why this strategy is so important and why it's so effective now in 2026. And it just adds some healthy urgency to why you should really consider putting this into place. Okay. So here's the thing. Right now, we are living through the worst trust recession in history, right? Buyers are more informed, but way more skeptical too, like we all are. They've seen every ad, they've read every headline, and by the time they reach you, they've already formed some of the major decisions, right or wrong. It doesn't matter if those decisions are good, like they're founded on actual reality, right? But that's where they are. As a matter of fact, according to HubSpot and Forrester Research, 80 to 90% of their decisions have already been made before they ever reach out to a business, a realtor, or whatever service provider that, of some kind, fills in that blank, right? Now, again, doesn't mean their decisions are right, but the problem is their biggest concerns still often aren't being addressed. So trust is still, it's still kind of wavering, understandably, right? So, and trust just hasn't been earned. So I'm going to show you how businesses are winning in this trust recession. That's really one of the big goals, just to kind of show you how this is already working and how it can be used in your business and in your industry. So when it comes to I mentioned I'll say this. There are 4 pillars that essentially businesses that are winning right now in this trust recession are using. Okay. And they are really just 4 commitments. First off, they say what their competitors avoid. Okay. They show what others prefer to hide. And they sell with honesty, not pressure. And finally, they are more human than others are willing to be. So everything we'll talk about today will flow from these 4 pillars, okay? But let me first share a little background because it sets up how we get to this 2-step content strategy. Personal side, been married to Karina since July 2000. We have 2 adult kids, Addie and Elliot. My career in digital marketing does not follow a logical path. I actually went to school did not go to school for marketing. I actually went to studied acting in Southern California, where I was born and raised. I stumbled into marketing by accident, into the industry by accident back in 2006, when it was called internet marketing. Went from internet marketing to online marketing, and now it's called digital marketing. And what hooked me was really the nerdy stuff, the psychology behind what moves us and drives us to make decisions. In most of my time, I worked behind the scenes with hundreds of businesses, and sometimes as a trainer and speaker, and helping solopreneurs to build 6 to 8 figure brands and all sorts of things. But over the years, I saw the same problem show up again and again, and I couldn't quite name it exactly until in 2017 I heard about the story of Marcus Sheridan. You might be familiar with his story. He wrote a pretty big it was a book back then called They Ask You Answer. This was a game changer for me. Marcus ran a business that sold pools and spas, but when the real estate crash hit in 2008, they lost over $250,000 in deposits in 3 days. It sucks. But Marcus refused to give up. And over the next 2 years, he created all kinds of content around all the questions his buyers asked him. For years, he had been selling pools. And so he just kind of resourced all of these questions. And in the process of discovering and going through all of these, all of this content creation, right? He discovered a pattern about what was most important to them. That they were mostly concerned about 5 big topics when it comes to making that we as buyers are most concerned about 5 things when making buying decisions. And it wasn't just within the context of buying a pool. He's like, oh, this is everywhere. And so within 2 years, after creating tons of video content and written content around those 5 topics, he had the world's most trafficked website in the industry, over 600,000 visitors a month, right? That's insane. That is absolutely insane. So from this, he created a marketing and sales framework, which gave him the ability to earn buyer trust so much faster. And as a result, he was able to close 80% of the time and in half the time it took them before, without being pushy or giving a bunch of discounts. And this framework has evolved into what is now called today as endless customers. So, I've used it to help my clients put this into place. It's made a big difference. It just creates this ability to grow so much faster, which leads to shorter sales conversations, less price pushback or commission talk pushback, because their buyers feel and felt confident about moving forward way before the sales conversation even happens. And the two-step content strategy is just a fraction of the entire endless customers system. But let me just pause here, okay? I want to ask you this question because it's important to stop and get on the same page about the ultimate purpose of marketing. We hear this word marketing, right? It becomes a wastebasket term without actually just pulling back and going, okay, what exactly does that mean? What is the ultimate purpose of marketing? And again, this sets up the argument for why the two-step content strategy can really make a big difference. So let me ask you, at the end of the day, this is where you unmute the mics. At the end of the day, what would you say is the ultimate purpose of marketing?
I'd say the purpose is to drive business.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good answer. Anybody else?
Awareness for your target market.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Selfishly, it combines both of those, the awareness and the driving your sales towards yourself. It makes you stand out.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so excellent. All right, so my contention is this, is that the ultimate purpose of marketing, not to be a naysayer, but it's not to get the word out. The ultimate purpose is not about brand awareness. It's not about gaining a huge following on social. It's not even about creating a relationship with your audience, right? The ultimate purpose at the end of the day of marketing is to make sales unnecessary. It's to make convincing unnecessary. It's to make using pressure unnecessary. It's to make it like all of the sales, the stereotypical or more so what sales is devolved into unnecessary, right? Because now I'm not saying this, okay? I'm not saying it's about the transaction, but the sale is when all of the activity creates trust and then that trust turns into commitment and then the real change begins, right? That's when someone says, yes, I'm ready to move forward. Yes, I want to work with you, right? That's when the real change begins. Now, it doesn't mean you have all of their trust. It just means you have a higher level of trust than you ever did before, right? Now, here's my other contention too, is I believe one of the biggest mistakes businesses make oftentimes, no matter the industry, whether it is real estate or the HVAC company or a law firm, is they expecting the sales process to do all of the heavy lifting. Because that's my contention. My contention is that's what marketing is for, to do the heavy lifting so that sales doesn't have to work so hard later, right? So you have an easier process by which they're asking much different questions than they might when, as opposed to like, why you? Why should I be working with you kind of questions, right? Now, using this two-step content strategy that I'm going to show you does not mean you get rid of sales presentations, scripts, or follow-ups, okay? But it helps to take more of the pressure off of those things, of the need to use those things. And I guarantee it will cut down the time you take to address the same concerns and objections over and over and over again, okay? Now, here it is. This is the two-step content strategy. And like I said, it is very simple and it's not some new idea either. And when you watch it and you're going to see it and you're going to go, this is basic. This is so simple. Why? Okay. All right. This makes sense. All right. So the first ingredient is what is known as the landing page video. Okay. This video lives on the page where your prospect goes to, say, fill out a booking form, appointment, or whatever that might be, right? Now, the landing page video is not to sell anything. And it's not a commercial about you or your brokerage, The core job of a landing page video is to help you earn trust more easily by telling them what they can expect, because that's huge. And this is done essentially by addressing 3 unspoken questions. Hardly anyone answers, but we as consumers think about it in the back of our mind, but no one really ever addresses them. And when you book an appointment or you need a quote from a company, don't you feel a little hesitant about filling out the form, right? Or sharing your personal information? You're constantly going, all right, am I going to get bombarded? Like, am I going to get called right away? Right? So does the prospect, right? So that's why in the landing page video, you are addressing 3 main things. The first question is, can I trust you with my information? What's going to happen when I fill out this form? Am I going to get bombarded by it with a bunch of emails? Am I going to get called? Am I going to get text, right? The second question is, why do you need this information? Why this information? Okay. Sometimes you don't need to explain that. Sometimes it can be very helpful just to kind of give a clear understanding of that. And then thirdly, it's what happens next? What happens next? What happens after I click submit? What's going to happen there? Or what's going to happen during the appointment? You can even go into that. Okay. I'm going to show you an example, just to kind of clarify what I'm talking about. I'm going to give you this example in a different industry, obviously, but I think you'll get the picture right away. And this comes from a pool company out in Virginia. So, all right, let's do. Oh, come on! You know, I'm not supposed to do that. All right, we'll get this to play, I promise. All right, here we go.
What's up, guys? Christian here with River Pools. Listen, we've all had that uncomfortable moment when it's time to submit our contact information online, and we wonder, am I going to be inundated with spam email? Am I going to receive a million phone calls from different folks trying to sell me something? Well, the answer is no in this case. So what will happen when you submit this particular form? Well, you will have opened a line of communication between you and a project design specialist. You'll receive one confirmation email just letting you know that the form was successfully submitted, and you'll receive a phone call within 48 hours from a design specialist. Just one design specialist. You've been dreaming about a pool in your backyard for some time. You've done your homework, you've done your research, you've decided it's time to move forward. So I invite you to fill out the form, hit the submit button. It's time to talk pools. It's time to talk your pool.
Awesome. Cool. You all heard the audio, right?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Awesome. Right. Awesome. Okay, so what did you guys notice? What were some of the things that stood out?
Well, for me, it was just he definitely answered all the concerns that you have when you're about to fill out a form. Matter of fact, this morning, something interested me, and I went to fill out the form, and I'm like, and I didn't put my information in.
Right. That's good.
Yeah. I'd say also that he said it in a way that was kind of empathetic. He understands the pain of what he's talking about.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing was it wasn't fancy.
No.
Right. I mean, it was a selfie style video. But it was clear, addressed the biggest concerns someone's going to have, going on at that stage. I did this kind of a similar talk last week, and someone in the audience said, you know what, he should have been in the pool. I was like, that's actually not a bad idea. So context, like even putting but the fact is they had a pool in the background. It was like, okay, this might also be within the context of your practice, your in real estate. They come to your office. This is where we're going to meet, that kind of thing. So it doesn't mean you have to do it like that, but sometimes that can help. Here's just another example of where this might fit, just from another company here in the Madison area. I'm not going to show you the video, but you might recognize the spokesperson there. And then here's the thing: when it's done right, it's just very intuitive. Like, there's not a whole lot to this. And the cool thing is that when done right, the landing page video typically boosts conversions by 60 to 90%. I've seen it go all the way up to 250%, right? And you get more qualified prospects, or not even just qualified, they have a higher level of confidence in you because you've already filled them in on the things that they are wondering about. And they show up with a higher level of, feeling informed. Like, okay, this guy actually, to what you were saying earlier, TJ, it's about addressing the things that are going on inside of your buyer's mind. There's a great quote. I didn't even put it in here, but the quote is, the goal of the number one job, I should say, the number one job of marketing is to enter into the conversation going on in your buyer's mind, in your prospect's mind. That's the number one goal, right? So, and that's what this is doing, this landing page video is doing. So, okay, let's move on to the second piece of video content. So right after the prospect hits submit, they are automatically taken to a page where they will see a very important video, which is known as the 80% video, okay? The name comes from what it does, which is to answer the which is to answer 80%, the questions, concerns that take up 80% of the actual conversation before they move forward, right? And the 80% video alone can actually cut those conversations down. The hour-long conversation can turn into a 30-minute conversation or a 15-minute conversation, because the fact is that so many of those conversations are filled with, like, what happens here, what do we do here, and all of these things. So the 80% video is addressing so many of those things. And then, and the goal here is to get the prospect to watch this before their appointment, before meeting with you. Now I'm going to show you a snippet of the 80% video, just from again, different industry, but I'm sure you're going to get the idea. But at the same time, I also will tell you, I'm going to provide you with something at the end of this call that will help to speed up the ability to figure out what you should put in your 80% video, okay? So here it is. I'm going to show you probably 20 to 30 seconds of this, but we'll move forward here.
So you're an individual that is interested in replacing your current heating and cooling system, but you don't know where to start. You have questions regarding the installation process and who to ask about your options. In this video, our team will answer the most commonly asked questions that we receive during our first appointment.
Okay, so
know the information that you need in order to get an accurate estimate and what to expect during the installation process. Here's a list of the most common questions we receive. What's included in the installation process? How long will the installation take? How much will it cost? Do you have financing available? How long will the equipment last? Do I have to replace both units at the same time? And finally, number 7, does the brand of the equipment really matter? So let's get started.
Okay, so you get the idea. What are some of the things that you noticed this time in this particular video, even though I showed you about 30 seconds?
Well, the thing that sticks out to me is that you're getting all the repetitive questions out that you answer with every single person that comes to you.
Yeah.
You're getting that out of the way so that you can just kind of close the deal, basically, when you're meeting face to face, or when it comes time to get the client. There's much less of a gap you have to travel over.
Yes, and what it ends up doing is it ends up taking away a lot of the awkwardness, right? that time during your first conversation, when you meet with them, oftentimes you're trying to do whatever you can to show why working with you is a good thing, right? But oftentimes what happens in this 80% video is really like you're trying to help them make an informed, confident decision to move forward, not necessarily with you always, but like just in general. When you're looking at a real estate, or when you're looking to hire a real estate agent, these are the things you want to have in mind. So sometimes within an 80% video, you not only include the most asked questions or addressed, the concerns that people oftentimes want to be addressed, but you also touch on the should ask questions, the SAQs, sometimes at the end. So that can be super, super helpful. But one thing to mention is that he said what was going to happen in the video before it actually happened, right? It's kind of like what you do in a presentation. You say what you're going to say, you say it, and then you say what you just said. In this video, it's like he's just letting you know, okay, here's what's in this video, right? So you can potentially skip forward and go, oh, I want to get that question answered, right? So now a concern that a lot of people have is, how do we make sure they watch the 80% video before the appointment? Well, the other thing that should be happening, right, is they should be receiving an email and ideally a text which confirms their appointment, their time with you, right? The call, whatever the case might be. And then it repeats the reason they need to watch this important video with the link back to the thank you page or wherever it is you want to send them where that video exists, right? And if you really want to go a step further, you set up automated reminder messages until a few hours before their appointment. Now, it's not like bombarding them like 30 minutes before, 10 minutes before, 5 minutes before, right? That's not what I'm talking about. So it's just, there's certain things that you could put in place just to increase the chance that they will review that information that's in the video. There is one other thing you can do, and I've done this many, many, many times, and that is you create a PDF version of the content that's in the video. So that way they can either watch it or they can read it, or they can do both, right? And again, that increases your chance that they will come in like feeling more informed and more confident. And when you're the source of that confidence, trust goes up, right? Let me see here. Here's the other kicker. The other kicker about this 80% video is that a lot of folks don't realize it sometimes until they've actually created it. And it's really fun when they realize it, is when, because the kind of the road opens up, like with this one piece of content, this 80% piece of content, I would say the 80% videos is pretty much your most powerful trust building asset in your entire content library. Because now you have a long form video that can easily be trimmed down and repurposed into multiple short form videos, right? And it's just touching on one after another, right? And they are in their own individual videos. And then you put on your website, in your follow-up emails, in your, if someone has a specific question, you could just send them that, right? And you can put them on LinkedIn or YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever the case may be, right? So instead of constantly repeating yourself in every interaction or email or first consultation and handling every objection and describing like why they should work with you and all this stuff, the content from the 80% video can do so much of the heavy lifting that usually makes that other stuff so awkward for both people, right? Plus, here's the cool thing. These videos increase the chance that AI tools will recommend your content because you're answering the exact questions your prospects are asking them to answer. Them as in the chat bot, whatever that chat, that LLM might be, right? ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever the case might be. So how confident do you feel that you could know what to put in your 80% video?
I'm 100% confident.
Ooh, nice. I love that. I love that.
For my 80% video.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. So sometimes that can be difficult because for some, while it can be easy, others like, just not too sure. So this is, do you guys remember the pattern I talked about that Marcus discovered, that buyers are concerned about 5 main topics when making a buying decision or moving forward, right? In this customer system, these 5 topics are known as the big five, right? And I'm going to do a quick walkthrough so you can narrow down what you can potentially address in your 80% video. Now, all the things you might have, TJ, in your mind as far as what you could be putting in your 80% video would end up stemming into one way or another into these big 5. Pricing and cost. This is the most heated topic of all the big 5. Now, in real estate, there is definitely some standard, expectation to some extent. But the thing is that here's the pushback I usually get. If we put the price or the commission structure or whatever on our website, we're going to lose business. And I get it, but think about it. As someone who is reaching out, if you find nothing about commission, or let's just say if it's another company, it's another totally different company, and you find nothing about price, what's the number one emotion we end up feeling? It's frustration. And then when we feel frustrated, we go somewhere else. Like, all right, like I'm not saying you have to list out everything. I'm not saying all of that needs to be listed out, but you explain what actually affects commission, or why does it, like, this is about, again, this comes down to those 4 pillars, right? You say what others aren't willing to say. You show what others want to hide often, right? Because that transparency is what people want more than ever, right? So
can I just throw something
please.
in real quick? Because commissions have been a very contentious, provocative topic in the real estate business lately. So we're certainly I don't think we can set a standard price. We have to communicate that our commissions our compensation is negotiable. However, I think that it's best to describe the value that people are paying for and the process and like how we get compensated. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, nor do I think we would run into trouble on a different level if we stated an actual percentage, which is we could get into trouble
for sure.
We don't want to be in a class action suit or anything like that, but I think it's what you get and how it works, I think is we can definitely talk about all that.
Right. Yeah. And that's, that's the main point, right? It's actually addressing the elephant in the room. One of the big things, like I said earlier, 80 to 90% of people's decisions have already been made in their brain, whether or not they are based on reality, right? So they have misconceptions that inform those decisions. So the idea of like, this guy's making a lot of money off this. This TJ's gonna make a lot of, my gosh, right? So explain it. So that's the idea here, right? So that's the idea around talking about price, talking about the commission, talking about why is it, explain some of that stuff. And then the second problem, the second thing is problems, concerns. This one's just about talking about the elephant in the room before the buyer does. Don't avoid the tough questions, right? show that you've thought through their concerns. And this goes back to like just the commission, right? To some extent. After all, we know the best way to resolve a concern is to address it before it becomes one. This is how you sell in ways your competitors are afraid to sell. And then third one is comparisons. Buyers are constantly comparing options and companies and solutions, other agents. So why avoid the conversation? When you openly compare, even mentioning competitors, you take control of the narrative. Your job here is not to persuade, it's to educate, okay? And that's how you show what your competitors often will hide. And the consumer, when they see that you're actually open and honest about this, my gosh, you change the narrative. It's so awesome. And then the fourth one is reviews and ratings. As buyers, we want to see proof from real people. This is not about saying we're the best. Out of all of them, we're the best. It's about sharing your customer stories, their honest feedback, and that's how you be more human than your competitors will be. And then the fifth one is best of lists. Buyers want to know what's the best option for me, right? By creating a best of list. You're not pushing a particular solution or a particular way of you doing certain things or a certain neighborhood even, right? But you know this, like hey, this neighborhood versus this neighborhood, right? Those are great. But you're helping to guide the decision. And it can be as simple as saying, if you're looking for, I'll just put this in a different context, right? If you're looking for the cheapest builder, we're probably not the best fit, right? So there's ways to go about that too. Okay, now that I'll catch up with my slides, we're gonna skip this one real quick here. This is just about disrupting the industry, right? And because when you start addressing these 5 topics, that's what you end up doing. You just kind of like, you cut through the noise. People are going, finally, someone's bringing it up, right? And they'll thank you for it. Now, the thing is that, as you guys already know, I'm sure, is that the higher production video is not the focus on, at least on the first go. But clarity is ultimately what people want more than they care about the high quality production. They just don't skimp on good audio and lighting. That's super huge. So let's do this here. We're going to go. So whether you have the big 5 content or not, when you have that 2-step content strategy set up, boy, it can make such a big difference. It'll lighten the load on that conversation. People will show up more informed. I say buyers, right? This is kind of a general term, right? And they just become less defensive and you have more momentum in that conversation, right? And this is kind of what we did with the concrete company. As a matter of fact, I just pulled up another one here of Neil's that I did years ago for him. And I was like, hey, Neil's not using this thing anymore, but this is what I did, right? So this is just a really quick landing page video example that Neil, that I walked Neil through creating. So he created it. It's pretty much answering those questions and ultimately what to expect, right? You even give a heads up for, hey, what's going to happen on the next page is you'll see this thing, right? Now, in this case, it was actually the next page was you get a bonus for booking a call, right? Now, it wasn't the 80% video. There's some other reasons for that, but the fact is that I at least want to give you a context like, hey, it has been used. Now, granted, it is a different industry to some extent because that's a different service, right? But you get the idea, right? So I'm not going to carry on any longer. I know I've hit the time and advertisers are banging on your door, TJ, and going, where are our commercials?
Yeah. And now for a short message from our sponsors. No, seriously, but do go to the good point. I'm going to plug the getting on this call live so that you can come in and ask some questions. In a moment, we're going to cut the recording off so that we can all discuss freely and openly without the threat or the worry that we're going to be eternally living on YouTube somewhere. But so go to the reagenthive.com, register to get on here live. I am going to ask one question before I turn off the recording, though. When I see all this, it's like, oh, how do I manage this? Is there a system that automates all of that? Like you kind of build it and then let it run. What system are your clients use?
Yeah, simple system would be Calendly. That's a pretty normal, typical platform. And then within there, you can actually set up just an automated reminder. You got confirmation, the confirmation email or text. Did I just do that? Oh, I did, didn't I? Yeah, confirmation email and text, and just letting them know about that video. Hey, make sure to watch that video, or like confirming that you say thank you, you confirm it, and then you say, hey, before the call or before our appointment, make sure to watch that video, right? Or if you just have it in PDF form, cool. Tell them to review the content. That's the idea. And then, but within Calendly, you can set all that stuff up. In other words, you don't need like, I got this email marketing system. I don't know how to set this thing up. It's really nice. Very easy to use inside of Calendly. I'm not just saying because I've been doing it for years. It's like, just had another client last week. He uses Calendly. He's like, I didn't even know you could do this, but this is super simple.
Yeah. So it's just website is really the only essential thing, and then something like a scheduler that will send reminders.
Yep. Yeah. And then I have one bonus for everyone here. So I'm going to give you a website. I'm just going to have you do you could do I have a QR code, but I'll just give you the, let's see here. I'll put the link in the chat here. And there we go. So trustedvoicemarketing.com/ESW-bonuses. So you will see a button for the landing page video. And then you'll see, this is a fill in the blank landing page video script that you can just kind of plug and play in a sense, right? And the same thing goes for the 80% video. Now, granted, I will say that 95% of the people, companies that I work with are service businesses, from home improvement contractors to law firms and whatever. And so it's kind of got a universal type of feel to it, or context to it. So that's the way it's set up. So I just want you to be able to execute on this. And this is the actual very fill in the blank template that I give to my clients.
I love it. Well, thanks. We're gonna hop into I'm gonna turn off the recording. We're gonna hop into the Q&A
backstage,
deep dive into. Yeah, we're gonna close the curtain. We're head backstage for the VIP room. But before we log off, real quick, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching the replay, be sure to be on the next Hive Live. The reagenthive.com. And if you really like what we're doing here and you want to learn how to get more involved and partner with us, go ahead and shoot an email to be@therehive.com, reagenthive.com. Let me say that one more time. be@thereagenthive.com. Shoot us an email. Love to have a bigger talk with you. So with that, thanks for watching, and we're going to hop off to the discussion now.